Hello and welcome back to Ad Astra Interia. We will be continuing where we left off, which is after Nefero leaves you on the beach to wait for the sightseer, and Amicus decides to, surprise you because you weren't waiting for him at the palace. But we'll be starting a little bit behind because this is where I saved, so this is where I'm gonna start. So, anyways, let's begin. Awaken! I wake up with a jump, yelping under Amicus's furry form before he starts kissing me, his paws sliding up and down my body. I let him do that for a few seconds before pushing him off. Amicus, what the hell? Oh no, you're not lecturing me, especially not after you apparently swam here without a sightseer. I wince, silently cursing Nefero for not being able to keep his mouth shut. And falling asleep under scant shade? Marco, have you forgotten how badly you burned 2 months back? How could I forget? Amicus was so horrified by the prospect that he questioned how humans survived with so few natural defenses. I'm becoming more concerned about you every day. I rub my eyes as Amicus helps me to my feet. I was waiting for a sightseer. It's here, and good thing too. Our guide for the tour has arrived. Who? Amicus waves his paw dismissively. One of the bear siblings. He's weird like they always are, so I'll keep your interactions short. I frown. I think I can decide that for myself. Yes, of course. Now, let's be on our way. Amicus lifts me into a bridal carry so that I don't burn my feet on the sand. You were not waiting for me. I said at the 11th hour, you know. You're always late. How could I be late on a day like this? I cling to my fiancé, listening to his deep voice rumble through his chest. Have you packed your essentials? Don't worry, I haven't either. Let us prepare for a journey together, Marco. I hope you're excited, because I have much planned for just the two of us. On our way to the sightseer, I look back at the forest, and it's then that I remember what happened before I'd fallen asleep. Wait, did you know Cass and Alex are coming? Yes, that was a bit of a last-minute addition to the plan. I did not know if Cassie's schedule would be free when we departed, and it turns out it was. I mean, that's fine, but I just think it's weird that we're bringing along the guy that tried to kill everyone. I'm kind of exaggerating, but Alex's partially successful plan to destabilize Ad Astra is one of the main reasons life here was so difficult. Wait a moment. How did you find out? I booked them a suite in the city. They are to meet us at the university. I frown. Nefero told you about me swimming to the island, but not how we caught Alex building a communication device again. No? Man, Nefero's got weird priorities these days. Wait, what is this about Alex building a communication device? Well, we overheard Cassius talking about building a plant tech device, and Alex built one here last time because the signals were out of range of interception, right? Oh, that little shit! Amicus suddenly stops and takes a deep breath. It's like he's deeply pondering something. I may actually have to kill him. Huh? Amicus continues walking towards the sightseer, though his jovial mood from earlier is completely gone. I can't believe he'd make me do this after I gave him an undeserved second chance at life. Wait, are you serious? You're gonna execute him? Suddenly, the idea that Alex's actions could actually lead to deadly consequences is, well, disturbing. It would make sense, but I just can't imagine him being off like that, with Amicus being the one responsible for it. But then Amicus sighs again. No, I probably should. I know my father would have, and as Emperor, I'm obliged to seek justice for my people. Which would be the end of that cat and any relation with Amorpha. But I am shifting our diplomacy towards a more Chemian style, and executing diplomats, no matter how justified, is simply not how it's done. Relationships with the cats is already strained as it is. I think you should just deport him. Oh, I would. You know that. But it's all more complicated with Cassius in the mix. Amicus finally lowers me into the sightseer, and we begin to float across the lake. So, I thought he was doing social work in the poorer towns and cities. We managed to sync our schedules on Lux, so he would be accompanying us for just the first part of our journey. He's still popular in Lux, so the visuals of him by my side could be rather advantageous. After that, we will part ways. So how is Alex gonna fit into all of this? Doesn't the public know what he did? Cass says that emphasizing that Alex is his pet will play into the narrative that the saboteur was conquered. I thought you gotten rid of the pet system. Just another decree being held back by Cass's antics. It will be abolished as soon as that damn cat is out of the way. Perhaps I should rid us of that problem and surprise Lux with a public execution. They still enjoy such spectacles in that region, you know? I think I'm starting to see why Nefero didn't tell Amicus about Alex. I try to shift the conversation to a lighter tone, though. I don't think you'd execute him, even if you weren't changing the diplomatic style of Ad Astra. Oh, are you implying that I'm soft? Well, I just think that you were never when Alex was your friend, and that stays your hand. Besides... I poke him in the stomach. You are soft. He grunts and seems about to say something, but then awkwardly looks away at the palace. You alright? I am. Then he takes a breath, like he always does before talking about something that's bothering him. Speaking of pets, remember that your role has changed and that you should consider yourself to be an equal amongst the siblings. Okay. I narrow my eyes, not sure exactly where this is going. Optics are a very large part of politics, and perhaps you should consider carrying yourself in a more formal way compared to when we are in private. I mull that over for a moment, then feel my face get a little hot as I realize that Amicus is telling me not to embarrass him with PDA. I instinctively want to become more defensive, to tell Amicus that this is just another one of his issues, but no, this really is an important part of politics. It's an important part of life, actually. I can't just haphazardly plant kisses in front of Amicus's body in public like that. I mean, I think I already would have known this, but it's an odd thing to hear Amicus say. I clear my throat, hoping I don't look as red as I feel. Oh yeah, of course. I'll remember my formal stance. I clasp my hands in front of me. When we arrive at our Imperial villas, it will be different. You can do whatever you like to me then. Yeah, definitely. My failure to banter back like usual isn't lost on Amicus, and the silence becomes awkward, something that doesn't happen very often these days. I'm not sure why I feel so deflated. I suppose it could be because I didn't really process the fact until now that this could be a glimpse into my future life with Amicus. Lots of formalities. I'd accepted this fact months ago, along with the fact that it's very likely that I won't ever feel at home, both on Ad Astra and on Earth. I'm sorry if I said something foolish again. It's just that with politics, you must think of both. No, you're fine. It's a time and a place sort of thing. It's just, well, I hoped I'm able to do things right and that I don't screw up and embarrass you somehow. Marco, if you manage to embarrass me half as much as I embarrass myself, I will be genuinely surprised. I think Amicus is underestimating my abilities. Well, I'd like to not embarrass you at all. You already have enough to worry about without me causing problems with stuff like optics. I honestly should probably stay in the villa until you finish all the important stuff. I'm genuinely trying to offer a realistic solution, but I can't help but feel that I'm coming off as bitter. Amicus clearly thinks the same. Listen, we didn't go to hell and back only for you to then be hidden away like a bad secret. You are important, and not only to me, but all of Ad Astra. Public gaffes are not enough to change that. We finally reach the shore at the moment, and Amicus helps me out of the craft. Alright, but you know, in Ad Astra history, they talk about a few emperors that couldn't adjust to the formalities of the position and abdicated, or even, descended into insanity, and became mad kings. Are you doing alright? Please, Marco, my mind is not so weak that I cannot handle the duties expected of me since birth. And are you referring to Emperor Lucius, the one that married and divorced every week because he was too impotent to bear children? Amicus laughs loudly and I just stare at him. Okay, first of all, it was nothing to do with weakness, and if you do feel like you're crumbling under the pressure, tell me. Promise me that. My tone brings Amicus's bravado crashing down like I hoped it would. Yes, of course, just trying to add a touch of levity. Secondly, yes, I was talking about Lucius, and yes, he was really self-conscious about his dick not working to the point that he revived executions by immolation to punish anyone he thought might have mentioned it. Ah, yes, I believe anything phallic was enough to send him into a rage. It's a very Ad Astrian story. though I don't remember mentions of death by burning. Perhaps you are confusing his era with an earlier one? I opened my mouth to deny that I am, but then I remember that I'd heard that particular piece of information in the Kamian rebuttal. Maybe. Either way, my earlier statement stands. Of course, and I feel that maybe this also applies to you in that you are feeling a bit under pressure at the moment. I sigh. A little. I'm representing all of humanity after all. Amicus puts his arm around me as we walk towards the palace. Trust me, this will all become easier once you've experienced your first day. It will just become a bit boring after that. I prefer boring these days. Me too. I can tell that we're running pretty late even as Amicus takes his time getting ready, including fitting in another shower that he pulls me into. He assures me that because of the semi-formal nature of the trip, the schedule isn't all that strict. Of course, that doesn't really matter when others are waiting for us. Others like Virginia. She stares at us as we walk up to her. The automatic carriage sits behind her, Nefero casually slouching in front, busying himself with his tablet. As we come to a stop in front of her, Amicus keeps his arms around me, still in good spirits. Virginia seems to work her jaw for a moment before speaking. You are impressively late this time, Amicus. Almost an hour, in fact. Sorry, Virginia, but unforeseen circumstances dictated that I take a dip in the lake. I then determined that being late was worth washing and grooming myself so that I might be presentable. Just get in the carriage, Amicus. Of course, dear sister. How have you been lately? We've not had a moment to catch up today. I would have kicked Amicus if we'd been seated at a table. Virginia just eyes her brother up and down before turning away and climbing into the carriage herself. Today I've been reminded that most things are not worth it, brother. Fantastic! Amicus hops into the carriage and offers a paw to me, pulling me up while at the same time the carriage begins to move. Are his tactics to antagonize you beginning to succeed, Virginia? That's not like you at all. It depends on the day, Nefero, though I must admit those particular days are becoming more frequent. I glance up at Amicus, but he just continues to smile, running his blunt claws through my hair. While I understand and usually side with Virginia when it comes to Amicus's behavior and lack of punctuality, I do sometimes like it when he's able to counter her dour mood with an overly positive one. We ride in silence for a while, content to just take in the scenery. About halfway through, Nefero turns around. Did you tell Amicus what we discovered on the island, Marco? Amicus lets out a slow breath, his content mood dissipating with it. I'll take that as a yes. Why didn't you tell him? Because he explodes on the topic of Alex. Have you decided what to do? No. Well, you do have an advisor. Kill him. I'm sorry? Kill him. The cat has done more than enough to deserve it. Not a public execution, mind you, but rather an accident. I go over what Virginia just said in my mind. I'm not really sure if I'm understanding correctly. This would at least deprive Amorpha of one excuse for war. And if you truly feel that you have no options in terms of deportation or imprisonment, I honestly recommend this route. It's asinine that we are allowing a dangerous spy to be so close to the Imperial family. It is dangerous for all of Ad Astra. I shift uncomfortably. While I knew Amicus hadn't been serious before, Virginia seems to be deadly serious right now. Meanwhile, Amicus doesn't react at all, continuing to stare at the back of the bench in front of us while he goes on stroking my hair. The way you speak of death so callously for someone we know is quite unsettling. Nefero, while I thank you for alerting me to the issue, I am not in the mood for a lecture on the superiority of Kamian morality today. The bigger problem with the cat is that he is going to go back to Amorpha eventually with all the knowledge he obtained here on Ad Astra. Have you not heard rumors of what the cats are planning? They claim the parents to be malicious. Even Ad Astra never outright said such a thing. If I'd ever taken time to think about it, I definitely would have assumed that Virginia would have wanted Alexios executed. But her ideas echo something in the past that I want to bring up, but I can't. It's a strange feeling like I'm choosing to stay silent because it's not my place. But also that if I try to speak, I might not be able to. I also feel like we're being watched. This isn't a new feeling. It's something that I've been experiencing for the past several months. In fact, it started at the university we're heading towards now, and I try to force the image of a contorted statue to the back of my mind. I lean harder against Amicus. They are in a political turmoil for the first time in a millennia. In my opinion, it is simply a necessary reckoning with their identity and values. They will return to the fold as a stronger people, and we will welcome them back, which would be a mistake on the part of the parents. Let's talk about the parents. When they know what the cats are capable of, reminds me that I'm under their control in so many ways, and right now, I can feel it more than ever. I open my mouth, feeling the mechanical structure in my throat strain and protest, jammed as if it has stopped working. They have my voice, and I know they're using it against me right now. I grip into Amicus's thigh and I hear him grunt, then shift to look at me. Marco, are you alright? He says it in a low voice so that it won't interrupt Virginia and Nefero. I won't. I won't. I won't. I won't. Be silent. I won't. Amicus jumps as my voice makes an odd, glitchy droning sound before seeming to kick back into working order. What was that? Are you alright? Yeah, sorry. Something wrong with my throat machine that the parent stuck in me. It's working now, though. I look at Virginia. I just wanted to say that I'm completely against killing Alex, and I would rather you not talk about it in my presence. I notice then that I'm heaving for breath. I planned to say it in a calm, firm sort of way, but something was trying to stop me, and that's left me even more unsettled than the assassination talk. A strange feeling hangs in the air, and not just the one caused by my awkward, glitched out outbursts. Rather, something feels different, like I've broken away from something, like I've steered my way off a road that I've been stuck on. It's like this wasn't meant to happen, and it's like I'm free. Amicus, is your friend psychologically sound? Of course he is. Amicus takes a closer look at me. You are alright, right? You said your throat modification is having issues? I've rubbed my throat, finally catching my breath, quickly nodding. Yeah, sorry everyone. Something got stuck and I really wanted to say something, so it kinda just exploded out. You really wanted to defend the cat? Hey, enough of this. He just said that he does not want to be involved in this. I just think we should consider who else plotted an assassination and made it look like an accident. It's a different situation, yeah, but I think we're a bit better than him and can figure out a more peaceful way to solve this. Regina keeps her eyes narrowed and doesn't say anything. I, for one, agree. I would also consider visiting the university archives to see if the parents will check your device. That sound was truly otherworldly. Yeah. Amicus just stares at me with concern for the rest of the ride as we fall into a very uncomfortable silence. I don't mind it though. I'm wrapped up in trying to figure out what the hell just happened and what exactly I should do next. Things stay awkward for the rest of the ride to the university. When we finally step inside, Cassius and Alex are already there, sitting in the main hall. Well, Cassius is laying down on a bench while Alex is standing next to a large creature, one that I've never seen before. He's big, but so are most of the aliens I've seen. I know he's most likely our guide, the bear that Amicus mentioned earlier. If anything, his fashion gives him away as not being from Ad Astra. I don't know much about them or their culture. There's little mention of them in Ad Astra history, probably because they never warred with the wolves. It makes me wonder if they have a lot in common. Alex is talking to him, and I can barely tell that the conversation is awkward before I can even hear what's being said. Think of it this way. I am standing on a bed of nails surrounded by flames. I am already in a painful position while being told I have the choice to leave it into a worse position. Is that really choice or simply the manipulator using a poor situation as cover to claim they give you a choice? Ha! But that isn't the actual choice now, is it? The bear seems to notice our presence as we draw closer. Ah, your Imperial Majesty, it is an honor to meet you. The bear bows low to the ground. Greetings. I presume you to be my guide. I was told your name earlier, but I seem to have forgotten it in the day's chaos. Not a problem. I am Bjarni, and I will indeed be your tour guide. Speaking of chaos. During the exchange, Alex had been casually sliding away towards Cassius, who was still laying out on the bench. Your little chaos lover seems to be up to his old ways, if he ever abandoned them in the first place. That is, trying to turn me against the parents just before the trip. Ha! Alexios freezes as he realizes that he's being addressed. Shocking. Excuse me, but I was simply presenting to you a thought experiment to better illustrate an idea. Hell of a topic for our first conversation, I think. Alexios wisely chooses not to respond, instead walking away back towards Cassius. It's quiet for a moment, then Bjarni's demeanor suddenly becomes dark. I know you are already aware of this, but keep an eye on the cat. He's pure deception. Oh, I plan to. Anyway, is this Marco? Pleasure to meet you as well. Bjarni extends a paw in my way that's so familiar, I instinctively raise my hand. He then takes it and slowly, but deliberately, shakes it. If it weren't for him being overly careful with his movements, I wouldn't have even realized that this is a handshake, and how strange it is that Bjarni seems to know about it. Amicus frowns at our exchange, unsure what to make of it. Seems I need to work on that, judging by your reaction. Eh? It was a handshake? Definitely need to work on it, but yes, the dominant form of physical reading in Europe and a majority of Earth, from what I understand. I thought you might know that, Amicus. Oh, well, I do know quite a bit about Earth, Europe, and Italy, though I must admit I've never been greeted in that way. Amicus gives me a look like this is something I should have told him. It's pretty formal, not really something that friends do. How did you know about it though, Bjarni? It was shown to me during the briefing for this mission. Considering that we are preparing to integrate humanity into our daily interactions, we thought it best to start the process with you. Actually, the program was set up by you, Your Majesty. Oh, right. Perhaps I should undergo these programs before implementing them. Well, you're very busy running the moon and all. Besides, having the first human on Ad Astra as your companion is quite a bit more useful than knowing the intricacies of handshaking. It is a nice advantage, yes. Amicus pulls me against his side in a quick side hug, the human-style physical contact he's more familiar with. Amicus then shifts to gesture behind himself. Anyway, this is my sister and advisor Virginia and Nepharo, the unofficial ambassador from Camilla and the Pharaoh's second son. Pleasure. Greetings. There's a bit more small talk, and it's clear that Bjarni actually finds Nepharo more exotic than me, with a long tangent about the state of affairs on Camilla. Finally, though, Bjarni clears his throat. Alright, let's begin with the briefing. Just an overview of the itinerary along with the general specifics of each location, mainly for those of us who are not native to the moon. The bear fishes around his persona, reaching into an unseen pocket and pulls out a tablet. Rather than the more common rod-style tablet, it's a type designed to act as a projector for more public demonstrations. After discussing what the triumvirate and analysis of the current political situation, we've decided on visiting 3 locations. First, we shall visit the city of Lux. Officially, it is known as Ad Astra's frontier city in the harsh mountain regions of the far north, and officially, it is known as the City of Defiance. Due to Cassius's popularity there, and Amicus's general unpopularity, pardon me, Your Majesty. Amicus waves his paw like it's not a problem, and for him to go on. We thought it best to make it the main priority. Lux is the largest producer of natural resources on Ad Astra. A look at the history of the city shows at the times frequent protests, rioting, and strikes, which would often disrupt industry all over Ad Astra, usually resulted in failed emperors. By visiting Lux first, we show that they are our #1 priority, and with Cassius present, we can play a role in winning more support for Amicus. Bjarni pauses, glancing at Cassius, who seems to be staring out the window. Alex subtly nudges him. Oh, yes, indeed. Do you have a speech prepared, Cassius? I do not need to prepare speeches, Amicus. Cassius points to his head. Unlike you, I know what they want, therefore the speech is already written. The question is if you will truly do what you want me to promise them. I will not lie to a people who have already been deceived by emperors of old. and new. There's an awkward silence. We'll talk more of this on the way there. Bjarni clears his throat again. Anyway, Lux has also requested that we take one of the triumvirs with us so that they may play a role in talks with other regions of Ad Astra. That will depend on his skill at Pugnu. What? It is not my place, but I advise some caution as a triumvir who challenged you was the once Pugnu champion of the province. What, 30 years ago or so? I see my feelings reflected in Virginia's posture as she has her face buried in one paw. Bjarni seems to be thinking, then says quickly, Actually, if he is easily beatable, consider losing on purpose, as there is no doubt that a loss, and thus a loss of reputation on the tour, will result in protests and riots. Moving on. Amicus stutters over his words, but doesn't interrupt. After this briefing, I hope that I can convince him to settle his political issues in a non-violent way. From there, we will visit the city of Lupus, considered the cultural epicenter of Ad Astra. This is where you might play a role, Marco. I shift on the bench I'm seated on. Oh? I look at Amicus, frowning, but he looks just as confused as me. This is a bit last minute, but it was suggested by the Triumvirate that seeing and hearing a human speak might help them adjust to the idea of future human contact. Oh, yeah, of course. I could use some guidance on the speech, though. Never fear, most of us do not have the gift of a flowing tongue like Cassius, therefore a speechwriter has already prepared your remarks. That makes me feel better, but I'm surprised when it's Nefero that speaks up. Forgive me for interrupting, but is that a wise decision? Because, and correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that the epicenter of operations for the separatist movement currently gaining momentum? I've seen their demonstrations, and while it is mainly imagery of myself being used to invoke their anger, Marco's likeness is also being used. Really? I thought it was only anti-Chamian. I assume that their feelings towards the primates is more cautious rather than hateful. It is not the separatists, but rather a cult devoted to the woven gods and woven supremacy. That's not to say that there isn't a great deal of crossover, there is, but the cults up here too strange for the separatist brand, so they are kept separate. What? I am clearly completely out of the loop, and I feel like Amicus should have told me this. I look at him accusingly, but now his posture mirrors that of Virginia's not too long ago. Actually, and I know this is not my place to say this, but I would advise Marco not to visit Lupus in its current state. This is the same cult that attempted to plant a bomb in the Forum, but botched it when the one doing the planting blew himself up. It's quiet for a moment. Then he adds, as if an afterthought. And they did burn an effigy of Marco in their most recent demonstration. I look at Amicus again, but he whispers to me, Let us speak in private after the briefing, all right? I just nod, not sure what to think right now. Bjarni clears his throat once again. Well, that is all up to you and the Emperor, of course, though I will remind everyone that security will be airtight during the entire journey, so... Another awkward pause. Moving on. The last destination is Ad Rhoda, Ad Astra's entertainment and resort city. This would be the moment to relax after work is done in the previous cities, though of course this is also an opportunity to show the public your more sapient side, to remind them that you are not a soulless robot. Bjarni puts away his tablet, then looks at us expectantly. So those are the main goals for the next few weeks. Any questions? When is departure? In about an hour. It would have been about right now, but the delay is forcing another security check. Apologies for that. No, that's actually good. Amicus, Marco, please discuss what we just heard so that it will be sorted out before we leave. Alright, this way, Marco. I stiffly follow the wolf down the hall until it seems we're out of earshot. Think this is private enough? I guess. Why does it need to be private? Well, Virginia likely just doesn't want to hear it, and I know you prefer privacy when the conversation is about you. But it's about my duties, right? You have no duties, Marco, just opportunities if you so wish to take them. I mean, I think I should be obligated to do some things, but not if it endangers your life. But that's the nature of what we're doing. And what's with the separatist movement and a cult? You told me this was a vacation. The majority of it is, but there will be portions involving the usual politics of it all. But what about the cult? And the burning effigies of me? Yes, that is something that I was not aware of. I will need to look into it to make sure that the damn cat wasn't just lying to stir up trouble again. If that is the case, though, I would agree that you shouldn't make the speech despite having impenetrable security. I'd rather you not enter the city, in fact. If security is airtight, I think I could handle at least giving a short speech to show that I'm a walking, talking sapient, you know? Do not give the speech. Yeah, I want to give the speech. Amicus remains frozen, and it's clear that he desperately wants to say no. Amicus notices Nefero down the hall, lurking about while looking at the statues, probably trying to catch bits of our conversation. The wolf takes my hand and guides me through the nearest doorway next to us. It's an atrium, the sun currently at an angle that doesn't allow much light in. Amicus takes me to the corner, then takes a deep breath. Alright, I know that I've made promises to trust you, that I won't ever tell you what to do. But I'll still advise you, and it's just... Have you ever had a really bad feeling about something? That something just isn't a good idea? Yeah, all the time, Amicus. And how do you feel about this exactly? Amicus is looking at me carefully. Do not give the speech. I roll my shoulders like I'm physically feeling something out. Pretty good, I think. What? Alright, ready to head back? No. I fold my arms, tilting my head in a I knew you'd do this sort of way. Amicus huffs in annoyance. I'm teasing Amicus, but I think I know what he's talking about. If this feeling that he's talking about is what I'm hearing, and if it's the same for him... It's very hard to explain, Marco. I know it must seem terrible, the way I promised you complete agency, yet question all of your decisions. But this is honestly different. I am truly worried for your safety, and I think it would be irresponsible for me to let you walk into a situation you don't fully understand. I mean, you could have filled me in on some of this. Yes, and I admit that there are things that I should have told you, but I know that you yourself are under a great amount of pressure in different ways. And I suppose I must admit that there are some things I choose not to tell you because it would only bring you misery. I surely would have told you the goings-on in Lupus if I didn't known about the speech and the direct interaction with its people. I just want you to feel able to relax at some point, and that was going to happen until the damn bear switched up its schedule. He's just doing his job, and I should be doing mine. Listen. Sorry, am I interrupting? We both look up to see Nefero lounging in the doorway in the most come-hither way I've ever seen. Which is definitely saying something. What the hell? Don't ask idiotic questions just to make an entrance, and this is a private conversation. Didn't you hear Virginia? Yes, but she asked me to listen in and offer my own advice to make sure you don't create more conflict down the road. About making the speech, I've already made my decision. Nefero walks up to the sofa and lounges in it casually. Did he mention Lupus's history of assassinations? They are quite good at killing those that are instrumental to de-radicalization and alliances. Amicus looks back at me, breathing hard. It's difficult to remember everything he needs to know, and... Amicus is sputtering and stumbling through words like I've never seen before. Hey, it's okay. You want to avoid the stuff that's going to make me worry. I do that with you too, but... These are things that I need to know now. I'm part of all of this, and it's going to bring a lot of responsibility with it. He's right, you know. You should have at least mentioned the movement because that directly involves him. It doesn't involve him. They are involving him against his will. Amicus snarls in frustration. Damn them all! Well, it's not really about me though, is it? I'm just an idea to them, and they want to destroy that idea. So giving a speech could be a good idea. It's like Cassius and Lux. I could sway the less radical people if they're just able to see that I'm not, I don't know, a terrible monster. Amicus sighs deeply once again, closing his eyes and keeping them closed. It's almost like he's listening for something. Parental guidance, maybe? Do you think I should give the speech, Nefero? The jackal seems to think for a bit. I have two answers. As your friend, no. I think there would be way too much risk for me to feel comfortable with you being in public anywhere in Lupus. Amicus nods quietly. From the standpoint of a political ally, though, I think it would be advantageous for us both, and I will be making public appearances there as well. That actually makes me feel a bit better. Do not make the speech. Then I'll do it. This is my duty. Shades of Mera. Amicus is quiet for a bit, then nods. Alright. Though I'm gonna have a word with that bear. I do not trust the way that he briefed us. I'm the Emperor, and I should be let known these things before announcing in ways that completely embarrass me. Sorry, I just came to mention that the security check is on track to complete sooner than thought. Was there something you wanted to say to me? Just that, let me give you some privacy. I'm gonna visit the restrooms. Bjarni walks in and I walk out, leaving Amicus to deal with that particular situation. My mind is cluttered at the moment though, trying to figure several things out at once. Something about the way the parents, or whatever it was, tried to manipulate my voice, well, it's left me feeling angry, and to have that voice return when things are becoming dangerous again is too much. It only leads me to scenarios that they didn't plan for or whatever. They don't know what they're doing, and for them to start making these ominous warnings again about something that could be helpful to all of us is making me more angry. I see Alex in the main hall off to the side, reading the inscriptions on the statues. I'm going to tell him about what's being said about him, if only because I feel it's the right thing to do, and because the parents tried to silence me for speaking up about it. And as I walk towards him, time stops. There's a certain amount of satisfaction that I feel, along with a good helping of fear. But I'm not letting them fuck things up a second time. I want real answers before this plan of theirs is put into action. Well, you've changed. You could say that this is exactly what I wanted to happen. But I doubt that I'll be able to get what I really want from them all that easily. To be continued. Well, that was it for the second build of Interea. What did you guys think? Do you think the parents are actually trying to influence Marco into not, helping the cat? Even though, the cat kind of deserves it because, he did do all those bad things. But, do you think it's being done maliciously, or maybe there is a higher purpose for Alex getting, at the very least, a good scare? Because we all know he makes it at the end of Ad Astra. But perhaps he doesn't make it all that unscathed. Maybe that's why he was desperate to get out of Ad Astra as fast as possible. But leave a comment down in the comment section what you think. Anyways, thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Interea yourself, there will be a link down in the description. If you would like to support the Echo Project, which is making this, as well as other visual novels, then I will also put a link down in the description. And also, I've noticed that a lot of people who watch the videos on this channel are not subscribed. And I hate to be that guy, but it would mean a lot to me if you actually subscribed and, maybe like the video. And it actually helps. And if you leave comments too, it helps, and it kind of encourages me to pump out more videos or, for more of the visual novels, because that's why I did the Remember the Flowers one as well as the April Fool's one for Brave Paradise. And I do intend to do Brave Paradise. And, just, it would help if you at least like it and subscribed. And, maybe comment. Because I actually still get comments for the Echo videos, and it's nice to interact with those people who have, thoughts on what's going on. It's usually about Leo, but it's nice to interact with people on here. But yes, anyways, I guess I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.